Welcome to NYMLB Talk, New York's #1 baseball podcast. Now here's your hosts, Chris Pizzaya and Rob Maraska.
And welcome back to our new show of NYMLB Talk with your host, Chris and Rob, as we preview the Subway Series this weekend between the Yankees and the Mets. Rob, we got a special guest to kind of help us preview the series, so why don't you introduce him?
Yeah, we have the legendary Joe Dell from the band Sleepy Hollow, also a big Met fan, used to be a Yankee fan, and my cousin. He's the guy who did our intro, video, music, and our outro. You know, he's done a lot for the show. He listens numerous times to our show. Joe, how's everything going? Welcome.
Well, thank you, guys. First off, it's an honor and a pleasure to be on your show. I've enjoyed the show since its incarnation and the early incarnations back on SportsWire. And to me, honestly, I'm not just saying it because my cousin and my friend. I think it's the best sports show for the tri-state area now. I think it's enjoyable. You guys come up with the great details when it comes to the actual, the games and the stats. So, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Cool. Yeah. Hey, Joe, before we get into the Subway Series and all that stuff, because that's really what we have to get into, real quick, tell us about, Sleepy Hollow and the music.
Well, I was a keyboard player in Sleepy Hollow from 1999 to 2010. We have 4 albums out. If you guys are interested, I think they're on iTunes or wherever you download the stuff. But look for the one that says Joe Dell on the lineup because there's another Sleepy Hollow floating around. Back in 2000.
Yeah, I saw that. I always wondered about that. I did see that. All right, let's get into, and we're gonna plug the shirts because you are involved with the Heavy Metal Hall of Fame, and you designed a bunch of shirts, one for every state and a couple of others, which me and Chris actually purchased. Different ones. I got the Florida one. I think Chris, what did you get? The New York one, Chris?
Yes, I got the New York one. I'm not wearing it today, but I definitely have it. Yep.
Yeah, Chris has it. All right, Joe, before we get into all this stuff, I want to bring up a little baseball story, okay? Your father and my father were best friends growing up. My father played in the minors very shortly for the Washington Senators, and your father had a chance to play for the New York Yankees. What happened, though? He never played for the Yankees.
Well, my father was a big Yogi Berra fan. He loved the Yankees. Used to hop on the old bus to the Yankee Stadium back in the 50s. When he would tell a story how he said, Joseph, you had $5 in your pocket. You took the bus to the stadium. You got a ticket. You got a souvenir. You got a hot dog and a drink, and you came back and you had change in your pocket. So when he was 1962, I believe the year was, I think it was Yogi Berra was about to retire, if I'm correct. And he was supposed to try out for the New York Yankees and as a catcher, and he overslept and missed the tryouts. So that's the grandiose story. And you knew it was true because he never told it. It was the family members that would tell the stories, and you'd ask him, he's like, "Oh, it's true."
Hey, Chris, could you imagine having to try out for the Yankees and sleeping through it?
No, I cannot. I don't think I'd be able to sleep if I knew I was trying out for the Yankees. So.
Probably what's happened to him, Chris. That's my assumption. He had a worried mind. He was in the service during Vietnam. We found a little letter written to my grandmother, and inside it was like, "Oh, have so and so check the windows; they leak." So here he is in the service, can be sent over to the con, and it's like he's worried about windows leaking at the house. So probably was
yeah. That's your father. He probably was too nervous to sleep that night, and then he probably fell asleep a couple hours before the tryout, and that was it. Believe me,
I have to ask the real question here. How did you go from being a Yankee fan to a Met fan? That usually doesn't happen. So,
all right. Well, this is a funny story. And if the people are old enough to remember, cast your mind back to the early 1980s. I was a big Dave Rigetti fan. All right, big Yankee fan. They just beat the Dodgers, And I was in the minor leagues, playing as a kid, 9 years old. And I always wanted to pitch, but the coach had his son pitch and didn't want me in. And of course, I was pretty good because my father was a catcher, so on and so forth. So he tries me out one day, right? And I'm finally, because I'm like, Coach, put me in. Because we were Di Maria, and the nickname was Di Maria Diarrhea because we stunk, okay? And I was like, let me pitch. He's like, all right, we'll try you out. So back in the minor leagues, when you're 9, you played on a flat mound. It wasn't
right.
a mound. You flat.
Right.
So he put me on a mound. I'm throwing my curveball, my fastball, my slider. I was able to throw a knuckleball at that age. And by the time I'm done, I had good placement. He's like, oh, you did good, but you throw a little too high. So I came home. I was furious. My father saw me. Took my glove. I slammed it down. I'm like, I don't want to play baseball ever again. He's like, Joseph, what's the matter? I go, the coach don't let me play and pitch because his son sucks. And I'm like, I'll pitch better than him. And then finally, we ended up like 4th place, got a trophy. And back in them days, like I remember walking in with it, dumping it in the garbage. And my mother goes, you don't want that? I go, 4th place?
Oh, okay.
Anyway, my granny was a big Met fan from day one, 1962, whatever, right? 63. So I was like, my grandma used to watch the games. This is when the Cubs and the Mets were always fighting for the basement. So to like turn myself off the baseball, I was like, you know what? I'm going to be a Mets fan from now on. I'm like, watching them will make me not watch baseball. And the funny thing was, this was 1983. I mean, Dave Righetti had just thrown a no-hitter.
No-hitter against the Red Sox.
And all of a sudden, 3 years later, the friggin' 86 Mets, one of the most entertaining teams that I think was ever in baseball. And it was just great being a Mets fan. So it kind of worked out, and it's like
it was like 86 and then
yeah.
Right. It didn't go quite that way. I mean,
a slow descent.
There was a little
yes.
Yeah.
No, but it's all right. That's good. I totally respect that, but nothing wrong with that. But all right, so hey, let's get into the Subway Series, right?
Right.
This is going to be one of the better Subway Series we've had. I mean, how many have we gotten where both teams were basically two of the best teams in the whole league, right? You're leading your division, we're leading our division. You got also the whole Juan Soto returning to the Bronx conversation with it. You got Judge having this great season, Alonso having this great season. So we definitely got a lot of stories coming into this, already Subway Series with its own story. But so what are your thoughts? All right, game 1, McGill versus Rodon tonight. What do you think of this matchup?
Chris, if you look at it on paper, they're pretty much so far this year almost even pitching. But I got to give your guy the edge right now. I just think, game 1, I'm going to give Rodon the edge in pitching. But who knows what's going to happen? Because I think this series, the major thing is Juan Soto. And what's going to happen tonight when he comes to – it's going to happen before. Let's face it, before he even gets up at bat. But what's going to happen when his name is announced the first time he's back in Yankee Stadium at bat? What's going to happen, Chris? You know what's going to happen.
Oh, I know. It's going to be all mostly boos. I'm sure there's going to be some people cheering. They're going to think, hey, all right, whatever. He went there. But at the end of the day, he left. Simple as that. Did he listen? I told you, like we talked about it many times. Listen, he went for the most money. That's something the three of us and 99.9% of everybody else would do, right? You're going to go for the most money. I don't care where. If it would have been Chicago, it could have been Texas, Colorado. He would have went for maybe not Colorado, but he would have went for the most money anywhere else. So that's the bottom line. So I don't blame the guy, but at the end of the day, he still left the Yankees. So he's still going to get booed, at least I would think, right? For the most part.
He's gonna be booed so loud tonight that it's gonna be deafening. I mean, he's prepared for it. We all know what's gonna come, and the way people are writing, they're still bitching about it on social media.
Of course, it's gonna last a long time. So he's with you guys for 15 years. So I don't want to say it's gonna last for 15 years, but it's gonna last a long time. What do you think, Joe?
Joe, what do you think?
My prediction, from the first inning to the 9th inning, you're going to hear Soto sucks chants throughout the whole first game. And I'm calling it right now. And like you guys know, through the offseason, I called Alonso coming back to the Mets. He's doing a great job. you know, I have very little predictions, but this one I think I'm going to go for the 100% on. You're going to hear Soto sucks. First inning to ninth, first game, definitely.
Okay. And listen, here's some stats about the series as a whole. Yankees, Mets. Yankees have 80 wins. Mets 66 wins overall in the series. Here's the other. This is the great thing. The last 62 games that they have played against each other, the record is 31-31. That shows you how close it's been. But you guys have also won the last 5 games, I think, against us, right? You swept us last year.
Yes.
And I think the last game of 2023. So I think the last 10 games were 5-5. So this is pretty amazing that we're coming in. And I think the teams right now are pretty evenly matched. You know, you could say the lineup, maybe the Yankees a little deeper. I mean, they are number one in a lot of categories in Major League Baseball. Pitching, you know what? Maybe I'll give the starting pitching a little bit to the Mets. You know, like the rotation top to bottom seems better than the Yankees. Yankees, of course, you know, started without, you know, 3/5 of their rotation. And, you know, it showed, right? You got Stroman, his first few starts stunk. And then, you know, Warren, he's starting to pitch better his last 3 starts. But I would give the rotation edge to the Mets. The bullpen, I'm going to say tie because both have had moments good and bad, kind of. Not that much bad, but they've both been pretty solid. So I'm gonna go even on both. What do you guys think? Do you think that's a pretty good?
No, I think that's pretty. You know, the teams are, you know, practically evenly matched. I think it's, you know, it really is. It's amazing. This is probably going to be one of the best, like you said, Subway Series we've had. And I think, you know, last year, the Mets did sweep the Yankees. And that's, you know, the Mets were the best team in baseball the second half of last year. I mean, let's face it, they stunk in the beginning, but, you know, they finished really strong. But I'm really looking forward to this Subway Series. I think it's going to be great. I want to hear what goes on when Soto's up at bat. I want to see. Well, I don't know if I want to see it because that means the Yankees have the win, but I want to see what happens when a certain closer, Williams, comes in, and if he has to pitch against Alonso, will Boone let that happen? You know
what? My feeling with Devin Williams, if I'm the manager, if I'm Aaron Boone, I want Devin Williams to come into my office and say, you know what? Give me the ball. I want the ball late in this game, and I want it. And I want to get Alonso out. So if there's an inning that you could put me in with I want this, you know what I mean? I want to prove that I could get the job done, especially against a guy that, you know, hit this crushing home run to knock my team out of the playoffs last year. And I haven't been the same since. But I would want Devin Williams to walk into that office and say, you know, and demand the ball, not complain that he hasn't been pitching much because he hasn't, because he has been struggling. But I would want the ball. You know, if I'm not hurt, give me the ball. I want to get out of this. I want to prove that I'm that guy that you traded for. You know, that I was this great relief pitcher the last couple of seasons. So, I would say so. After that last at bat. Listen, there's nothing we could say differently about that. I think you're 100% right. He is his daddy, right? So. But that's what I would do. Like if I'm the player, if I'm Devin Williams, I want to walk in there and say, give me the ball, right? Give me the ball, 8th inning. If Alonso's up with 2 guys on, I want to shut that guy down. So will he do it? I don't know, but that's what I would do.
Well, and listen, Alonso, after signing that contract, he is having a monster year. I mean, the guy, and we spoke about this before on other shows. He should have done this last year. This should have been how he played last year on his walk year. It wasn't, and we saw what happened in the offseason. But, man, did he come back. It is, you know, he's just – I cannot complain. Joe Dell, what do you think about Alonso right now?
I think every time the ball is headed towards him when he's at the plate, he's picturing it's Boris's head because didn't he lose a little money for not taking that first offer, if I'm correct?
Yeah, but Boris, when he turned down that offer, Boris his agent yet, Chris? I'm trying to think.
I wasn't he was didn't he drop Boris, or did he attain, or did he get Boris after that? What was I forgot what the story was with him.
Yeah, he didn't accept he got I think he got Boris after that, I think. But whatever, okay. Boris is not the same Boris that he was.
No.
And hi TBK, by the way. Good afternoon. Good to see
TBK,
you out
there. Let me shout out TBK quick. TBK is the man behind our new logo. As you could see behind us a little bit, and also up in the corner of the screen. That's our new logo. TBK is the guy. He's great at designing logos and banners and everything. Give him a follow. And if you're looking for a logo, or if you're looking for a banner to be designed, definitely hit that man up, because he has got some great work. I've seen other work that he's done, all amazing stuff. But definitely check him out. Give him a follow on YouTube, on Instagram, or wherever. But he definitely does great work on logos and banners, just like Joe Dell with our great intro and outro music. You know what's great? Like, when you always say, oh, I got a guy, when someone asks you, hey, you got a guy who does this? You know what? We got a guy. Like, we got a guy in Joe who does this great music work and great video intro, outro work. And then we got TBK, who does the great logo and banner work. So we got a guy. If you need a guy, Joe Dell's a guy and TBK is a guy. So definitely look them both up.
And we appreciate it, because they're so, I mean, the intro, the outro, and the new logos. And he made a couple of them that we're going to use and switch up. He did a great job, and we appreciate it. We just appreciate the people out there who've helped us with the show, and it's become a success. Not only here, but in Italy, Chris, too. So
that's right. Yeah, we're number 49 in Italy. So I love it, and we're climbing. But real quick, the matchup tonight, you got McGill against Rodon. McGill has one start against the Yankees, and it was 2021. He pitched 7 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs, 1 walk, 10 Ks. So he pitched really good against us.
Yes, he did.
That was 4 years ago. And Rodon has 2 starts against you guys, both wins, 5 2/3. Most recently, 2 years ago. 5 2/3, 4 hits, 1 run, walked 3, struck out 4. And previous one was the year before, 2022. He had 5 innings, 3 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 8 Ks. So that was probably maybe with the Giants or the White Sox.
Yeah,
I would guess
Giants.
Yeah. So
yes,
there is a little bit of history, but not much really going on with those guys. And I also got some Yankee news too, that they activated Jonathan Loaizaga off the IL. So this is going to be the first time we're going to see him, and they DFA'd Matzik, the left-hander who was big with the Braves a few years ago. But so that's going to be huge. If he's anything like he once was before the injury, he's got great stuff. I mean, they were, I think, priming him to be the next closer a few years ago, but he just got hurt. And, but if he bounces back, that's a great weapon coming out of the bullpen.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It is a great weapon. And the Mets made a minor move, too, for the bullpen. They got Jose Castillo from Arizona just for cash. And he has an over 5 ERA. But you know what? They need a little bullpen help with the injuries. So it's worth giving a shot. Let's see if there's more lightning in the bottle. You never know. That's been going on for the Mets the past season and a half, I would say. So we'll see what happens. But, Chris, I'm really looking forward to this series. Yeah. It's going to be fun. We're going to have fun all weekend doing shows and talking about it. I can't wait for that. We're going to do a show tonight right after the game. So we're also going to do a post-game show tonight after the game. So we don't know what time it's going to be, but it's going to be after the game. And I'm looking forward to that too, Chris.
And we also got a big pregame show Sunday. We're going to start it at 5:30. It's going to be us, and we got the guys from the Pinstripe Chronicles joining us. So I don't know who's going to join us, but, Lynn might be joining us, Sierra, and we got the boys coming too. So it might be a full house. I don't know, but definitely check it out. 5:30. Look us up. Listen, hit that subscribe button. so you know when it's coming up. That would be awesome. It should be a lot of fun because I've been on their show a couple of times and I've had a great time with them. They're an awesome show. Give them a follow as well. The Pinstripe Chronicles. But anyway, game 2. We'll talk about. We got game 1. Game 2 is Griffin Canning against Clark Schmidt for the Yankees. And there's like a little bit of history. Canning has 3 starts against the Yankees, all no decisions, but not horrible. Five innings, 5 2/3, 5 1/3, but only like 3 runs given up or 2 runs given up. So not horrible, but they're all no decisions. And Schmidt has 1 start against the Mets back in 2021. 4 1/3, 7 hits, 5 runs, only 2 earned, walked 3, struck out 2. So again, mixed bag as well. No decision. What do you think of that? Game 2, kind of like the bottom, like the number 4, number 5 starter for both of us. But Canning's been unbelievable for you guys.
Yeah, his last game, he was great. Yeah, so it's going to be another good game. I just think these games are going to be pretty much evenly matched, and it could go either way. I think it'll go the Mets' way, but no, they're evenly matched, and they're going to be really, really fun games to watch. And we'll talk more about tomorrow's game tonight after the game tonight. But I wanted to talk to Joe about something. Joe, talking about Subway Series, do you remember when I took you to Citi Field to that Subway Series game and that guy fell down the stairs? Not that that's funny, but
no, it would have been if it wasn't for the family he landed on. Like that's this guy came in, he comes walking in. He was a nice enough guy, tall, lanky guy, wearing the modern apparel, which apparently at the time was taking your belt buckle and tying it around like your thighs for some reason. And the guy comes walking up, he's got a whole tray of like 4 full beers, and all of a sudden, and he's walking, and his legs are like moving like this because you can't move from the top, knees up, and then he just tips sideways. He falls like 4 or 5 rows down. The beers are flying everywhere. Me and Rob are dying until we realize he landed on this poor kid, this little girl, and like they all look up like, what's going on? And the guy felt bad. He's like, oh man, I'm sorry. But it's like, you know what I mean? You go into a ball game, you got about this much room to walk with. Everybody's been to a ball game. This much room with the back of a seat and the seat you're walking through. You might want to wear maybe sweatpants or shorts instead of your belt buckled around your knees or whatever you had. Yeah, the Mets won. We had the Dark Night that night, right? That was
that's right. Yeah, I forgot about that. That's true. Hey, Chris. So I wanted to ask you a question. With everything that's going on with injuries with the Yankees, what do you think about DJ? Do you think this is going to bring something out of him, or are you just worried about him?
You know what? I hope it does. I really do. I've always been a DJ fan, but last year, listen, he was really close to getting DFA'd at some point towards the end of the season, especially after they got Jazz. They were ready to DFA him, but Judge and a couple of the other veterans on the team kind of stepped up for him and saved his job. So I think he's on a short leash here. I don't think he's going to get that much run as many people think he's going to get. I think they're going to give him a shot, and then we'll see what happens. I mean, he's got to show something. I know he got to hit in yesterday's game, but he's got to show something, because if they were willing to DFA him last year, you would think they're going to more than likely DFA him this year if he looks that bad. So, and he's going to get enough opportunities because of, the injuries to Jazz, of course, the really horrible one to Cabrera a couple of nights ago. That was really sad. I mean, hopefully we see him by the end of the year, but I'm really not counting on seeing him. But maybe we'll see him, late August, early September, if he's lucky. If not, we might have to wait till next year to see him. So DJ's going to get some run here. I mean, it's going to give him a month, maybe 2 months, but he's got to be hitting by the end of, I would say the end of this month, or maybe middle of June, end of June, because that's when the trade talks start to heat up, right? And if the Yankees can make a move, they're going to make a move for a third baseman if they have to. By then, Jazz will be back. So I'm really rooting for DJ. I know a lot of a lot of fans are like, he's garbage, he's this. I want to see him do well. I mean, I can't see any fan not wanting to see him do well, right?
Right.
So I think we're all rooting for him. He's a good guy. He's been really good for us in previous years. I know age is catching up, right? We always say Father Time is always undefeated. So unfortunately, that's what's hitting him right now. But if he could squeeze out a couple of months here and more or less save his career, right? Because if he gets cut, I don't know if anybody's going to pick him up either. Because if he's that bad, why else are you going to DFA him? So we'll see. I'm rooting for him. I just don't know what to expect because he just came back. I think he's played 2 games already. So I don't know yet what to expect. So let's see if he plays. Hopefully he has a good series against the Mets.
Well, I hope he doesn't. But one of the things I'm worried about is, the Mets and Diaz. Is Diaz, if it gets to a closing opportunity, is he going to give us a heart attack and put some Yankees on base, or is he going to because usually lately this year, he's done that, and then he starts striking people out. It's like he has to get himself into trouble before he steps up. So, that's something I worry about, too. So, we were talking about Williams. I worry about that, too, with Diaz.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Listen, he's got a history of not being that good, right? It wasn't that long ago where you were like, oh my God, why did we trade for this guy, right? At some point. But then he came around, and then he was arguably the best closer in baseball. So he went from somebody you were like, oh, why'd we get him? And then he was, almost unhittable there the year before he got hurt, right? He was great. He got hurt. He bounced back last year. And this year, so far, he looks okay, I would say.
Yeah,
right?
Like I said, he walks a couple of guys again, and then he turns it on.
He's making you sweat a little bit. That's all. He's trolling. And that's all he's doing.
We're used to that. We're used to that. Oh man, but it's
as long as he gets the outs at the end of the day. If he gets out of there and you got the save, boom. That's all you want. Make you sweat a little bit, make it interesting. You don't want to be like a guy like Mariano Rivera, right? To go in 1, 2, 3 games. It gets boring after a while. It does. It gets really boring.
You think so?
Yes, it does.
I want then bore me for once in a while. Really. I'll take that kind of boring. But I wanted to ask Joe about these heavy metal Hall of Fame shirts that he designed.
Right. First, I got to tell a quick thing about the Met Yankee thing you just said. That's my grandmother. Okay. When I was a kid and I was still a Yankee fan, she always watched the Mets and they stunk. And I go, Graham, don't you like the Yankees? She goes, oh, I like the Yankees, but she goes, you expect them to win. She goes, but when the Mets win, it's something special. That was Granny's.
That was the whole thing about the 2000 World Series. Like the Yankees couldn't win that World Series. Like it didn't matter. Who cares? All right, if they win, it's like, they're supposed to beat us. Who cares? But if they lost that World Series, oh my God, it would have been. We still wouldn't be hearing the end of it.
I got a funny story. I'll tie the Metal Hall of Fame to that. I'm on the Metal Hall of Fame All-Star album. I got asked to guest. I play the keyboards on a track called Apocalypse, and the singer on the track is Tim Ripper Owens, who was singing for Judas Priest at the time. Okay, back in that era you're talking about. So during that time, I went to go see Halford because Rob Halford was doing a solo tour, whatever, over in New York. So at the end of the show, right, this is during the Subway Series, probably somewhere in October, like all of a sudden. I hear booing and cheering, and people are sending the middle finger up to the air or pumping their fist. I'm going, what the hell is that about? And I look up to the VIP section. I think it was the Roseland or Hammerstein. I forget who's up there. Mike Piazza. During the Subway Series, whatever it was, he's up there in the VIP section. So I was like, oh, no wonder why there's boos and cheers and foul language being said there. But
Piazza's a big metal fan, right?
Oh yeah, big Halford, a big Judas Priest guy. Yeah, Mike Piazza, and it was kind of cool having him as a Met, as being a metal guy. But just the shirts I just designed. It's a Metal Across America tour they're doing. If you go to the metalhalloffame.org to the shop, there's 53 designs I did, one for each state. some of them relative to baseball, sports. Like I did the Statue of Liberty because of the Rangers, and I did the Wisconsin one. I did a beer and a cheese. The cheese is shaped like the Metal Hall of Fame statue because of the Packers and the Brewers and Phillies. I did the Bell, the Phillies, even though they're our enemies. But yeah, so you could go there. The shirts $24 a pop, free shipping. You can't find shirts at the quality and price like now. It's I think I did a decent job with the designs. Thank you guys for grabbing them. And the Metal Hall of Fame All-Star album, it's going to charity. Like the profits off of that just goes to, because it's the DAD program to help disabled children and veterans. And you got so many legends on there from band Ozzy, Judas Priest, Kiss. You got members on the video. You got DVD with Metallica's on there and Judas Priest and all.
When is that being released? It's
already released. It's available on the Metal Hall of Fame website as well. So
okay. It's definitely.
a good collaboration, But that was the what I did designing the shirts. I was asked to do it because the owner always liked my artwork, and he asked if I could design. He asked me, he goes, "Could you do one for each state?" And I was like, "I like a challenge." And I was like, that's 50 designs. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to do it. And I thought they came out well. I mean, go look, even just to go look at the artwork, whatever. I think you'd enjoy it. Everyone historic for each state. Everyone. It's not. I didn't want to be boring with. Because I implement the statue in every one of the designs, and I didn't want like New York. The Empire State Building, it's the statue. You know what I mean? The Sears Tower, it's the statue. It's like, and I thought the ideas were interesting, and people might just even enjoy looking at the designs. If they
and what's the website again, Joe?
metalhalloffame.org.
.org. Oh, okay. I think it's this one. Let me see if I can put it up for you. Let's see. Shop. Oh, perfect. Okay.
It's if you want to get my music, you go to iTunes, and you could purchase it, or Spotify. Sleepy Hollow, Joe Dell, Joe Dell Later Empty Home. My cousin loves that one. I've been told that's my stairway to heaven. So
All right, here's the. Let me see if this comes up.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, we go.
There's the New York shirt.
That's the one for.
That's the one I have. It's real, and it's actually a really soft shirt. It's not like, sometimes when you buy a shirt off the internet and it's kind of like that hard, uncomfortable. This is actually a really soft, comfortable shirt. It's well made. There's actually a logo on the back as well. I don't think they're showing it, right? But yeah, here we go. That's the logo on the back.
That's the yeah.
So it's definitely check it out. I mean, it's a great website. It's got a lot of stuff on it, not just to shop, but yeah, this is going to be really cool, man. And the shirts are really awesome. Definitely check them out.
And they're on tour. It's for the tour. They're going with the Supercross. They're part of the whole Supercross tour, so that's why it's attached to them. So
that's cool.
Okay.
It's a big deal.
Yeah. And you designed all of them, right?
Yes. And as I said, $24 free shipping. I mean, you ain't going to find that anywhere. Most shirts now going $30, $35 a piece plus shipping. So it's, they're priced, to go. And like I said, I think the designs are great. You can find one for your state. And this is the first series. This is what he wanted to do, because there's never been a series of any type of artwork, shirts, or anything, including every state. And I'm going to tell a super quick side story. I wanted to, you want to implement things, for the state specifically. And we actually, some guy bought my print for the West Virginia, because I had to do a coal miner, because, a lot of these states are forgotten. You New York, you Florida, you California, you Illinois, Pennsylvania. And there's a lot of states in the union that get forgotten. West Virginia, I did a coal miner, because honestly, I have respect. Out of all the jobs out there, those coal miners have done more for Americans, and they risk their lives daily. I mean, now they got more protection for their lungs. But I mean, you became a coal miner, you knew you were getting black lung. You were gonna work, and you were gonna suffer the rest of your life. Right. I want to commemorate these guys, and of course there's historic figures on them. We got George Washington crossing the Delaware for Delaware, carrying the statue in the boat, or Abraham Lincoln. He's for I forgot what state. But it's like, a bunch of it, like, some historic, some fun. I got one, the Massachusetts one. You got the Boston Tea Party, and it's like somebody dressed like our statue dumping all the other music awards into the harbor. So yeah, there's a Maryland one. There's a Maryland one. What did I do from? Oh, Maryland one is the which is I wanted to be historic. It's the national anthem. It's Francis Scott Key, watching the bombs bursting in the air from the ship, and he's writing the lyrics to our national anthem for that one. I really like that. It's one of my favorites. I thought it was pretty cool.
Well, if you really want a good quality shirt, free shipping, like Joe said. I mean, you can't beat that for what, $24.99? You said, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Go check out the website, check out the shirts. TBK wanted to know about a Maryland one, and you just spoke about it, so that's cool. Check it out, and like I said, we could vouch the shirts are really made very well, and free shipping. What more could you want? And here's a question for. Let me see.
No,
that's not the one.
No,
there's a question for you, Chris.
Will Rodon take the subway to MSG after getting shelled? You know what? Hey. Our other big fan said that before the Padres series.
Yeah,
and
I think this is the same guy, Chris.
And he pitched really well. So, all right, we'll see what happens. I hope he does. And then he also mentioned the Soto tribute, the Soto video tribute. Yeah, I don't know if that's gonna happen. I don't see that happening. He played 1 year with us. It's great. He helped us get to the World Series. That's awesome. But yeah, all that's not gonna happen. So I'm not really worried about it. I think, listen, Soto's gonna get booed, no doubt. He's gonna get hammered. The Soto touchdown, he's gonna get it, and he knows he's gonna get it. So he's preparing himself for it, without a doubt. But here's the thing: I think Soto's gonna have. I hope he doesn't, but I hope he does have a couple of big hits in this series. I think he might even get a home run or two. Because you know what, he did really well in the playoffs, in the big, as our good friend, Mr. Thomas Bryce says, on the biggest stage and the brightest lights, right? And Juan Soto came up big in those moments, and there's no doubt about it. Listen, I praise Soto all the time. The guy's going to be a Hall of Famer when he walks out. He's going to have every Met offensive category to himself. And I told you, there's a good chance this guy might have a statue outside of Citi Field. People laugh at me when I say that, but that may happen. If he's the greatest Met outside of Tom Seaver, he might get a statue. I don't know. That might have been part of the contract. I don't know.
and I understand. Listen, Chris, I understand the way the Yankee fans feel. They feel jilted. They feel, for some reason, they felt like he owed them something. But it's a business. We know it's a business, and it's not like it used to be. Who really plays? Loyalty. Yeah, who plays for the same team? It's rare, right? Yeah. Jeter, of course, David Wright, but there's a handful now of players that
2 years ago signed that contract for a little bit less money than what he was going to get out. I think San Fran or San Diego offered him more. That doesn't happen anymore. Or it's very rare. I'm not going to say it doesn't happen anymore, but I think it's just rare. And Soto did what most people would have done. And I think, he went for the most money, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with him going for the most money. The contract was close, right? It's the same contract with a year less by the Mets. So it comes out to be a little bit more. But all the bonus stuff that he got from the Mets, I mean, how can you say no to that? It's really hard. And he obviously likes playing in New York, so the New York aspect of it doesn't bother him. So, you know what? Good for him. Listen, he's dead to me now. But I have nothing against what he did. I've said that before. I have nothing against. And I said it before. I thought he was going to sign with the Mets. I told you. I was like, I think he'll sign with the Mets if Cohen, puts up the money, and he did. So I have no problem with that.
If Cohen wanted him, he was going to get him. Okay. Right. Exactly. So that's just that he gave him all these perks, like you said, the luxury box for his family, all that other stuff. And people like, well, couldn't he afford his own luxury box? And why, if they're giving it to him, why should he really? I mean, I'm going to take that stuff for free. I'm going to sign the biggest contract. We're fans, though. Yeah,
and he's not
we're
chasing a
fans.
title, right? He's not chasing a World Series. He won one in Washington. If he didn't win a championship, maybe that. All right, maybe with the Yankees, I have a better shot, right? History
Well, I
show,
don't know.
right? Exactly. I'm not saying you don't know,
I
but
don't know about
history will
that.
show you. Let's not get into the history here, but history
Yeah,
shows you that the
but
Yankees
that's
might have a better shot. I don't know.
but
I'm just saying.
that's what it is, Chris. It's history. History changes all the time, right? I mean, look at Cohen. The Mets have an owner now who's willing to spend money or do what it takes. So
Right.
history is just that. It's history.
That time. The Wilpon.
Well, let's not talk about the Wilpons because that's history.
Let's stay positive here.
I'll tell you, history will go way back. My mother was a Brooklyn girl. She told me when she was a little kid, she remembers seeing the actual Dodgers working day jobs on the off seasons. Like they would
that's what they did.
Like those are the old days,
A great documentary, a great baseball documentary with history is called The Ghosts of Flatbush. It was on HBO years ago. If anybody gets a chance, if it's in the library or something, check it out. It was a 2-part series. It was so good. And it showed why the Dodgers eventually moved to LA. And it gets into a lot of details. And some of it was about the players doing stuff on the off season because they weren't making, millions of dollars playing baseball. They were making like average Joe money. I mean, they were just making average money.
Paycheck.
I'll never forget that he played for the Mets one year and it was a disaster, but he was a Philly. Richie Hebner dug graves on the offseason, okay?
Wow.
He was a grave digger. That was his job because, they used to talk about it on the broadcast back then. That's what these guys had to do. They were insurance salesmen. They were salesmen for other things. They were spokespeople. Just a few, there was obviously, and probably mostly Yankees who didn't have to do that, but most of these guys had to make money during the off season, so they didn't really.
And I think a lot of the Brooklyn Dodgers actually lived in Brooklyn, and they were like, they had neighbors. They knew all the people there. They were like neighbors to people. It wasn't like now. I mean, a Yankee player or a Met player. I mean, they don't live in on the local street in Brooklyn or in any of the boroughs like Queens. They ain't living there. They're probably living somewhere in like Connecticut or something, or the North Shore in Long Island or something. Some crazy house or something, or Manhattan in a high rise. So
but it is Subway Series time. But I just wanted to mention something with Chris. Chris, even though it's Subway Series time, you do not want to see the ultimate Subway Series again, do you?
No, I definitely don't. I don't want to see the Mets Yankees World Series ever again. The 2001. I mean, you could see it. Every game was a nail biter. It was close. I think they outscored. I had it here. Where was it? I think the Yankees outscored the Mets in the World Series by 3 runs.
Yeah, it was. Listen, game one is what happened. Game one with that ball, off of the fence, and we know what happened. That I think just changed it. That drove it into the Yankees' favor. What happened with the Mets, but it could have really went either way. But I do want to go through that again because we need our revenge. And the Mets do have a catcher, Hayden Singer, who filled in very nicely the first month of the season, and he was working in Whole Foods, and also. Chris, didn't someone on the Yankees drive an Uber or something?
Yeah, the catcher, the backup catcher.
That's right.
JC Escara. He's been through a lot, independent leagues, and he kept pushing for this, and he finally got a shot, and he's been really good for us right now. This year, he's been filling in great as the backup catcher. Whenever he plays, he gets a hit or whatever. He's really good behind the plate as he calls a great game. I would listen. Things are going to get interesting when Stanton becomes active. Like whenever that happens, it could be next month, it could be whenever. But if everybody's healthy and he's activated, I would think JC Escara might get sent down at that point because Ben Rice could catch, and Ben Rice has been DHing mostly. He plays a little first base. He could catch. That's his natural position. So to get Rice in there, and Stanton, we know, can only DH now at this point. So Rice has to play first base or catcher, I think, to get in, get into games. And Ben Rice's bat has been really good this year. I mean, I think it's, taken a lot of the Yankees by surprise how good he's been. Now he's making it a tough decision when Stanton does return, because Stanton could only DH, what are we going to do with Rice? But Rice could play first base. He could, solid first baseman. He's solid behind the plate as a catcher. So I think that's where you're going to see Rice play. And are they going to really carry 3 catchers when they don't need to? So we'll see. I think it's going to be interesting when Stanton eventually is activated, whenever that day comes, but we'll see. It's got to be soon, because he was seen taking live at bats, I think, last week. So I think it's just a matter of time before we see him back up in the Bronx.
Yeah, you just need him for the postseason. That's all.
Yeah, bubble wrap him until then, and then just activate him in October.
Yeah, before we go, you sent out a stat about comparing Jeter with Lindor. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, through age 31 season, their numbers are pretty comparable when you see them. Or actually, Lindor actually has the better numbers. Let me bring them up. I mean, I think MLB posted it, but I have it right here.
Yeah, because they were really very interesting stats. I mean, when you see those stats, it's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
I didn't realize we had Derek Jeter on our team, but yeah.
He wasn't on our team. We're just comparing.
I mean, level-wise.
Yeah, I mean, look at those numbers through age 31 season.
Yeah.
The games. I think what Lindor got hurt one year, right? Is that why?
Yeah. He got
minus the one game. OPS. All right, Jeter's got a slight edge there. Home runs. Lindor, we know that he's a big home run guy. B-WAR, obviously. Lindor a little bit more there. Gold Gloves are even. World Series title. That's the big one, right? That's pretty good right there. I mean, Lindor, I've always said Lindor is very underappreciated. I remember last year when he started off bad, right? Some Met fans, you've seen him on social media, like, oh, we got to get rid of this guy. This contract is awful, and blah, 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 blah. I'm like,
I was one of them.
Right, okay. But you know what?
If
you get rid of him, if you get rid of Lindor, you got to bring in a guy that's going to go 30-30 every year, right? Who's going to do that? Or 20-30, whatever, You got to replace those numbers. You can't replace him. He's just
no way.
Right.
I didn't want to replace him. I just wasn't happy with his performance at the time.
It happens. It takes people time to get used to playing in New York if you never played here. So, and I was never worried about him. I mean, a couple times I remember on SportsWire, we would bitch about it a little, but I didn't want to, I did not want him to go. I just knew he was going to be the player that he was. And it's turned out, it's turned out really well. Chris, usually, before we go, you usually have a question for our guests, right?
Yes. Yeah, this should be interesting. I'd like to know what Joe's answer to this will be. Joe, we always ask this question. You've listened to the show a lot, so you're probably taking notes for this question. If you were named commissioner today, what would you change or not change in Major League Baseball?
And I'm not going to say what everybody else says, and it pisses me off because it makes the game just you grind your teeth.
It's the automatic answer. I know. Yeah, the extra runner.
Come on, man. Ticket prices. How about that? How about putting a cap on ticket prices these days? I mean, the old days, like I said, my old man would say, like, oh, yeah, $5. You took the bus, you this and that. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Can I tell the story about my old man with the – so my grandmother told me the story because you know how, like, your parents have to play like they were always good kids because, like, you have to be good like them. So one day my grandmother goes, yeah, I remember he was a senior in high school and his 2 buddies brought him home drunk and dropped him on the kitchen floor. And he's mumbling how Mickey Maris was the greatest ball player ever. And I asked him that. I go, Pops, is this really true? And he's like, your grandmother likes telling stories. But, that's the old 50s days. But, like, the thing is, I would say ticket prices because it's not fair. Because I'll be honest. You asked the question. It's like, what about these kids? They don't got parents that are making 6 digits a year, whatever, that love baseball. Let them get to go to the game and not to sit in the bleachers where they're spending $10 a seat, waiting for a home run to see what the ball looks like. Get or have a special day during once a month. Have it. $25 ticket to flashback. What do you used to call them? Flashback days, throwbacks.
Throwbacks, right.
Throwback day. You charge just one game and charge the tickets. The concession stands. Trust me, they got enough money. They could afford to have one day and let the kids come in, have a good time.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. No, I like it. And I think some teams do that, but you'll never see it in the big cities like New York, Chicago. You'll never see it there, but like Kansas City does that sometimes. You can
enjoy it there for a good price.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, he brought up a good point there. I would allow the home team the ability to reshuffle the lineup at the bottom of the night. All right, that's something like the golden bat rule that they've been hearing that, which I really hope doesn't happen. That's changing the game too much, I think. I'd really hate to see that, but you never know. With baseball, you never know. They might do things to they might do something crazy again. But listen, we got one more year of baseball until the poop really hits the fan, right?
That's right.
So we're coming to it. So enjoy baseball this year. Enjoy it next year before, unfortunately, a strike is definitely coming. So we shall see. All right, another one. I would allow a DH for the catcher or center fielder. Technically, I'm just going to say this. Technically, you can use anybody as your DH, right? Yeah, you could use anybody as you could DH, excuse me, for any position, right?
Right.
Obviously, they do it for the pitcher because pitcher most likely stinks as a hitter, unless you're Shohei Ohtani. But yeah. But anyway, all right, that's our show. Joe, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, Joe.
Again, let us know about the website and everything else you want to plug. Definitely plug now. For sure.
All right, guys. First off, it's a sincere pleasure. I really enjoy your show every week. And I multiple listens a week to tell you because I wish.
Thank you, Joe.
I wish real radio was the way you guys are. You guys bring it back to the old days when you really talk in stats and really good. So I really enjoy it. So thank you.
Thank you.
You want to check out the band, sleepyhollowband.com. The website's still up. You can check out some music. There's some you can download for free. My original band, Spectrum Green, we got the whole album. You can download for free. We like to give out free music, for the fans. Like I said, remember 13, we had 1.9 million hits on the website worldwide. So, thank you to them guys who've always supported us. The T-shirts, go to metalhallofame.org. T-shirts $24.19 a shirt, free shipping. You got one for each state. If you live in the States, grab one. There's one made for your state. Grab them all if you like collecting them. And is there anything else I need to plug? Music, lyrics. If you want to watch our cartoon, my cousin Rob and I go to my sleepy. Go to the YouTube channel SHJOED, which is short for Sleepy Hollow Joe Dell. SHJOED. Look for Pops It's a Miserable Life. My cousin and I wrote some comic strips. So based around baseball, of course. You'd probably enjoy that. And I think that's about it, right? Cuz, am I forgetting anything?
No, that's it. Yeah, those cartoons are really funny.
If you ever need an original music done, you're the guy, man. No, you do our intro or outro. So
yeah,
any kind of original music anybody needs.
For hire. You need me, just contact me shjoed@gmail. Or you want to hit me up at my cell phone, 201-878-0251, which is on my business card, but I'll throw it out anyway. And I am now single. I've just gone through my second divorce. So
Joe is single and looking. There you go. That's good.
There you go.
There you go. Promote that too.
Thanks, Joe. Chris, let's just remind everybody that they'll see us back here tonight after the game.
Yes, after the game tonight, and then before. Like I said, 5:30 Sunday. Definitely look out for our show with the Pinstripe Chronicle crew. They're all, hopefully, all of them will be on it. It'll be a crazy show, but they'll all be there. Check us out then too. 5:30 Sunday Eastern Standard Time, and of course tonight, right after the game, hit the subscribe button so you'll be notified when we jump on. So just come on, but definitely look for our show tonight after the game ends.
Definitely. So we'll see everybody tonight. Thanks again.